standing at the bottom of the steps. "Let me try," the doctor said, and he climbed up to the platform and knelt by the gray mound. "Hey, Johnny, it's Jim O'Connell. I haven't seen you in a long time. I just want to make sure you're all right." An earthquake in the blankets, then an eruption, tangled hair and a bright red face, and a loud voice saying in a Boston accent, "Dr. Jim, how the fuck are you?" For the next half hour, Johnny reminisced about the alcohol-fueled adventures of his past, about mutual old friends, mostly dead. The doctor listened, laughing now and then. He reminded Johnny that the street clinic was still open on Thursdays at Mass General. Johnny should come, that is, if he wanted to come. Dr. Jim, James Joseph O'Connell, had been riding on the outreach van for 3 decades. During those years, he had built, with many friends and colleagues, a large medical organization, which he called the Program, short for the Boston Healthcare for the Homeless Program. It now had 400 employees and looked after about 11,000 homeless people a year. Jim was its president and also captain of the street team, a small piece of the program with 8 members serving several hundred homeless people who shunned the city's many shelters and lived mainly outside or in makeshift quarters. About half of Jim's administrative work now lay in managing the street team, and all of his clinical work went to doctoring its patients, Boston's rough sleepers, as Jim liked to call them, borrowing the British term from the 19th century. The van was a crucial tool for reaching those patients. It was financed by the state and managed by the Pine Street Inn, Boston's largest homeless shelter. Nowadays, 2 vans went out from the inn each night. They had become an institution, which Jim had helped to foster in the late 1980s. Back then, he used to ride 3 nights a week, usually until dawn. Now he went out only on Monday nights and got off around midnight. When Jim had begun these tours on the van through Boston's nighttime streets, he had imagined the world of rough sleepers as a chaos. But it turned out that most of them had territories where they hung around and panhandled during the day. Stemming was the street term, its etymology obscure. For sleeping, they had favorite doorways, park benches, alleys, understories of bridges, ATM parlors. Rough sleepers were like home buddies without homes. At the start of a ride, Jim and the driver and the driver's assistant would trade the names of people they were worried about, and they could usually find each of them within an hour or 2. Jim was like a 1950s doctor making house calls, though the van rarely dispensed more than minor medicine. Rather, it was meant for bringing food and blankets and socks and underwear to rough sleepers and, more urgently, for finding people in distress and bringing them in, if they would come, to hospital emergency rooms or to the city's homeless shelters. The van was also a tool for keeping in touch with patients and their ailments and collecting the unpublished news of the streets. Like all members of his street team, Jim carried a small knapsack, his doctor's bag, its contents refined and miniaturized over the years. It consisted mostly of basic first aid gear and diagnostic equipment, a blood pressure cuff that wrapped around the wrist, a little pulse oximeter, an ear thermometer, a simple blood glucose meter, a stethoscope. Among the losses he regretted was the pint bottle of whiskey he once carried for the times when a patient was in alcohol withdrawal and on the verge of seizure. You couldn't do that now. It's become a moral issue. He wore his cell phone in a holster on his hip, and he carried a small flashlight, thin enough to hold in his teeth if he needed both hands to examine a patient. A flashlight remained one of the street team's essential tools for checking on rough sleepers. Some years back, one patient had asked how Dr. Jim would feel if his doctor came to his bedroom in the middle of the night and woke him up by shining a flashlight in his face. Jim took the issue to the program's board of directors, a group of about 16, which included experts in health and medicine and finance, and several formerly homeless people. The board convened a meeting of about 30 rough sleepers who issued this advice, long since become policy.